Hey guys, it's Godbars here, the self-proclaimed hip-hop historian, and this is the 147th episode of my series, where I grab a vinyl from my collection, talk about why I love it, what influence it has, and what its place is in the grand scheme of hip-hop. Returning to one of hip-hop's favorite odd couples, it's been way too long since I discussed Andre 3000 and Big Boy, and I thought, why not keep up the trend of discussing albums that were released in the year 2000? Outkast is one of those acts where their discography towers over most others, to the point I really could have done a number of projects as the second album of theirs to review, from Southern Playalistic to ATLians. But personally, I feel like Stankonia is kind of the middle child of their career that sometimes gets ignored, and some of the deeper cuts are overlooked in favor of massive moments like Miss Jackson. However, it also happens to be one of the most experimental undertakings their extensive history as a duo has to offer, and in many ways it directly set the stage for the even grander risks that they would take a few years down the line, and in many ways it directly set the stage for the LP that followed this one, the award-winning Speaker Box slash The Love Below. I broke down where all those projects rank for me internally on the video I did for Aquemini, which was actually over 100 uploads now. So I'll leave a link for that review in the description if you want some background on my epic and cool lore. There's one little nugget of information I want to share because I feel like it's pertinent to this classic, that being how virtually all the songs that started getting me into Outkast when I was in middle school came off of Stankonia here, kind of the exception being Hey Ya, since I heard that a lot as a kid, obviously. But I still to this day have heavy nostalgia for not just Miss Jackson, which at this point has pretty much reached Hey Ya status with how iconic it is, but also So Fresh, So Clean, and B.O.B. or Bombs Over Baghdad. All three of those tracks dominated the charts and had their own catchy yet experimental ideas, but when you really step back and take in just how much dense content sits within that tiny selection from this massive discography, it becomes more and more clear why Outkast is so universally revered as the best duo to contribute to the genre. I mean, those are 3 of 24 tracks on here, and every single one has details and messages to dissect, even the skits and interludes. And then when you put it into context, that's something you can do for every album they have to their name. And while someone maintains Stankonia isn't a top 3 release in Outkast's massive discography, I personally would disagree. And even though I would argue against that, I still respect that opinion because the rest of their career has so much quality material to work with. For example, with the smash hit single Miss Jackson, I feel it also kind of paved the way for Hey Ya by featuring an insanely catchy hook, like relentlessly addictive, yet as many have pointed out over the years, Hey Ya isn't actually a very happy and bright song in the lyric department. And while Miss Jackson might not be quite as dark when you just read some of the lyrics flat out, it's still a fitting representation of delivering a less than ideal situation like a tangled up relationship in a way where a casual listener can sing along gleefully with the apology in Miss Jackson without really knowing or caring what it means. It's a great display that the two members were able to regulate Andre's growing interest in experimenting with other genres without having to cement this divide in styles the way that they would on their follow-up. Big Boy really sews the song together with his killer verses that bring the more poppy melody back down to a familiar place of rugged southern rap. His alien one-of-a-kind flow is tightly executed as always, and he brings in his memorable first verse with, "My baby's drama mama don't like me. She be doing things like having them boys come from her neighborhood to the studio trying to fight me. She need to get a piece of the American pie and take her bite out. That's my house. I'll disconnect the cable and turn the lights out and let her know her grandchild is a baby and not a paycheck. Private school, daycare, shit, medical bills, I pay that. I love your mom and everything, but see, I ain't the one who lay down. She wanna rip you up to start a custody war. My lawyers stay down." There's a million moments on this classic LP worth mentioning, like the hilarious yet kind of avant-garde and cacophonous DF interlude, where 3K and Big Boy list out the insanely lengthy and creative monikers or AKAs that both legends have under their belts. Or the ferocious statement piece that comes blazing right in after the intro, where they go for the neck from the jump with passionate, emotion-filled verses about burning everything that the American dream holds dear to the ground. This theme of destruction pops up again on Bombs Over Baghdad, which has one of the first dozen or so hip-hop songs I had saved in my iPod back in the day, opened my eyes to how this art form can be used to not just express yourself and the struggles you see in your community or even wider country, but people on the other side of the world. What Outkast did here was more than commendable because through even just naming a massive hit single, Bums Over Baghdad, they were taking the next step on something this culture got its foundation on, which is giving a voice to those who don't have one. Andre packs as much information as possible into his dense opening verse, getting the ball rolling with "In Slum National Underground Thunder Pounds When I Stomp the Ground." Like a million elephants or silverback orangutan, you can't stop the train. Who wants some? Don't come unprepared. I'll be there, but when I leave there, bet I'll be a household name. Weatherman telling us it ain't gonna rain. So now we sittin' in a drop top soaking wet. In a silk suit trying not to sweat. Hit somersaults without the net, but this'll be the year that we won't forget. 1999. All the production here is done by the usual Dungeon family suspects like Organized Noise, Carl Moe, and the members of the duo themselves in the form of Earth Tone 3. Stankonia also happens to be one of the most stacked Outkast albums on the feature side of things, with guest appearances by Jay Sweet, Gangsta Boo, Eco, Backbone, Seabone, Slim Calhoun, Big Rube, Sleepy Brown, Be Real of Cypress Hill fame, Erica Badu, Killer Mike, and all four members of Goody Mob who, interestingly enough, show up on separate tracks. For honorable mentions on this one, I'd have to go with Snappin' and Trappin', Red Velvet, I'll Call Before I Come, Gangsta Shit, Explosion, Slum Beautiful, We Love These Hoes, Humble Mumble, Toilet Tisha, Spaghetti Junction, and Question Mark. Removing Miss Jackson, my three favorite songs overall are definitely B.O.B. or Bombs Over Baghdad, Gasoline Dreams, and So Fresh, So Clean. Thank you for watching my 147th video. Next time we're going to tackle another legendary duo that got their start in the 90s and then proved that they could survive the changing atmosphere into the 2000s. So look out for that one, and if you enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know what your favorite tracks off this somewhat underrated gem are. Don't forget to have a great day, and I'll see you next time, okay? Alright.